Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Linda from lindaspapercraft.co.uk and we are on week 2 of October 2025 coffee and card using the Delicate Pines bundles. And this week what we're doing is we're actually die cutting from the designer series paper. So this is a piece from the pack and it is called Elegant Pines Snowflakes designer series papers. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And there is a couple of sheets in there of this design that you can use the dies on. So as you can see, so that cuts out that. This little one cuts out those little ones. There are more dies in your box, so you can actually cut these out as well. And then this one, I've got the wrong one. Where's my dies? Dies. That's too small for that one. See, look how many dies there are. There are 22 dies altogether. I had to take a photograph to see how they go back onto the magnetic sheet. So obviously once I've done all my filming, I will look at my photograph and put them back in the proper place. So that's that one. Okay. Also, although that does actually fit those, so it fits the middle of these snowflakes. So, which I've only just noticed, which is why it's not on one of the cards. So those that have bought the kit, I've given you enough to cut out the one big, the medium, and then 2 of the tiny snowflakes, 3 of the tiny snowflakes. So you've got odd shapes of bits of designer series paper, so you can do this. Right, let's get going. Now, I've already done the die cutting because it's quite time consuming, obviously, because you've got to keep repeating. And the other thing I have done for you is I have included an extra square of thick white paper so that you can back the bigger snowflakes. Okay, I've not bothered with the little ones because it's all on dimensionals, and the little ones are so small they're virtually a full dimensional anyway. But for the bigger ones, I've included some cards, some thick basic white, so that you just included some scraps that I had left over so that you can die cut, and then these are much more rigid. Okay, so get all my little snowflakes out, and you've got the sentiment comes from textured notes. So, but I've cut it out for you, and we have 3 snowflakes. 2 slightly different. Now, this paper is from Mixed Media Florals, and I don't like that, but I really like this side. So this is what I've used, and on this one, I don't know if you can see. Let's have a look. Yeah, maybe. I've actually embossed using last year's snowflake embossing folder. So I thought I'd just give you a little bit more interest. The other thing I did think is you could actually stamp snowflakes on it if you wanted. I just thought it'd look nice with a little bit. I like it like without, but I thought I'll just try it with as well. Okay, so let's start. And you're going to need your gems. We're using the little clear ones today. Right, so where shall I start? I'm going to put the snowflake pieces together. So let's start with these. So just going to pop some glue, and they line up really easily. So just glue around the edges, bit in the middle, and then just smidge it around a little bit. There we go. And then I find it easy to come in from the back because the backs are green, so it's easier to see if you are lined up. There we go. Okay, so that one's a much more rigid now, so you don't need to put 30 million. See that look? Oh, I can't put that one on, can I? You could even use that. That's the back of the one with the die cuts. If you've got the full pack, which I know at least one of my ladies doing this week has. we go. Just smidge that around a little bit and on. So I like using the wet glue because it does give me a little bit of wiggle room so that I can get it perfectly lined up. And there you go. So nice and easy, but a lot more robust. Okay, so it's a 13.5cm square blank, and as you know, the measurements will be down below. I use thick basic white for this, so it needs a good burnish. Right. So the Tombow glue is really strong, so you don't need gallons of it. And often I find if you put too much on, if you find your cards are warping, the chances are it's because you're using too much glue. You just need a thin bead all around the edges and a bit in the middle. Okay, so let's stamp this. So I'm going to stamp this using the shaded spruce, which I think is the nearest to that colour. And I'm using Warmest Winter Wishes, which I think is really sweet. So let's just see if we can get it. You can obviously spend a bit more time lining this up. I think we're straight. Will do. So let's get arranging. Let's pop this away and have a little slurp of coffee. Right, so I am going with the same arrangement. You could go with a different one if you want, it's up to you. And bring that one there, and then the three little ones sort of in and amongst. These three I had all sorts of different ways, and those stones I've had on and off before I decided that that's the way I was going to go. Right, so we need some dimensionals, which were here. Okay, so we'll put a couple on here. And I'm just putting this sort of equal distance from the bottom and side. There we go. And then we'll do a few on here. Now, because we're not putting anything underneath, I can go a bit further out with these. But you don't need hundreds because we've put it onto thick white card. There we go. This one. So, 3 around the outside. There we go. And then, as you can see, these are virtually the same size as a dimensional. Oops. Just randomly put them on. It's a really nice simple card. You can stamp if you want. The only thing you'd struggle with is the red, but you could always get a little red pen and do little dots. Get a cherry cobbler alcohol blend. So, or just put the red, bright red gems in the middle. Cherry cobbler gems in the middle. There we go. So it's nice, quick and easy, packs a punch. And then I just need to add the gems. I think I went with 3 big ones. Let's go with 3 So we'll have gone for 3 little ones because that's the one that's missing. So we will do that again. And there it is. Okay, so much quicker this week than last week. These are so shiny. I absolutely adore them. They're also alive. 1, 2. 3. There you go. So hope you've enjoyed that, and I shall see you again next week. Take care. Bye.